We just mentioned earlier that fuel prices are being increased for the third time in 1 week. And this is a country which has just emerged out of a lockdown, a third lockdown. They need the chance to breathe. They need the chance to conduct their businesses in a free and fair atmosphere, not always under the burden of high inflation and high fuel prices. And it is, sir, a bit ironic as to the answer that this government or its ecosystem or its spokespersons are giving on fuel prices. They are saying that the fuel prices had to happen, are bound to happen. Why? Because there is a conflict in Ukraine. So I remember Prime Minister Modi ji speaking in Parliament on his during the last speech he made. And in that, sir, there was a point, and I was listening to him very carefully. He referred to Pandit Nehru. And he referred to Pandit Nehru, saying that, can you imagine that Pandit Nehru once blamed an international conflict happening in a different part of the world for the economic problems of India. And he smirked when he made that remark. Now today, what is happening? Now today, isn't Prime Minister Modi making the same argument that because of Ukraine, we have to no choice but to increase the fuel prices? But the counter is, there are two counters. That if for 137 days, the Ukraine conflict did not happen last week or did not happen 3 days ago. The Ukraine, US, Russia, European conflict has been going on since December. Russian troops were on the border of Ukraine since December. It's been more than a month since military escalation has happened. For 1 month, they could keep their prices stable. What has changed now? What has changed? That for one last month, since the beginning of the conflict, since the beginning of the Russian troops being on the border, to the beginning of the bombardment, to the Ukrainian refugees fleeing to different parts of Europe, that time you did not increase the prices. Why now? Just because elections are over. That's how you repay the people who put their faith on you. I congratulate you on their stupendous victory. But that doesn't mean that you take people's vote for granted. That doesn't mean that you get a remit to continuously put more and more burden on the poor, on the middle class, on the unemployed. So therefore, I feel that while we talk about the finance bill and the taxes, they're extremely important, we must talk about this context. On GST, the position of our states is extremely doubtful and extremely vulnerable. They rely a lot on the GST compensation. And the timing of GST compensation has been extremely poor. It is completely at the hands of the central government. They release it when it suits them, but that does not suit the state government. State governments have to pay salaries. State governments have to fund their social welfare schemes. State governments have to put in money for development. Now, on this GST, they will say it's the GST Council. But, sir, I would request this government, there have been enough, both within and outside. State governments have continuously raised their views that the GST compensation is not released adequately, not released on time, and also, sir, under the Act, the tenure for GST compensation is coming to an end.